What's up, everybody? Cody Hallford here, filmmaker at Hallford Entertainment, and I am here to give you an update on our project on Loor, the Psalter. So those of you who are subscribers to Loor can see that right now the Psalter is blitzing its second episode. In this journey of funding and development for the Psalter, it has gone through a couple of different changes, and here's why. Loor is different, and I think it's different in a good way. What it's doing is it's connecting the filmmaker directly to the market, to the audience, and its platform. And so in real time, people are getting to vote for and give feedback on the projects that they want to see in the platform. And it's sort of like Kickstarter in that way, except you're connected enough to the audience of subscribers that you're able to get a general sense of feedback into what's happening. And so through this process of the Psalter funding on Loor, I have seen different feedback on the project. I've had time to think about the project altogether and what I want the vision to ultimately be for it. Now, the Psalter is basically an anthology series where each episode takes inspiration from a chapter of the book of Psalms. Our first episode got funded successfully, but after it came out, and even before it came out, I was starting to feel myself as a creator, and I was starting to see some feedback from other people about this show. And I don't think that it's not that people dislike the concept of the show. I've actually seen several people who like the concept of the show, but I think it's more that there hasn't necessarily been as much hype for the show as there has been for other shows on the platform. The reason why this is a cool thing is because Loor's platform works the way that it does. I'm able to look at that and as a creator and make a decision to adapt to that. I'm looking at all the different content on Loor, and I'm looking at the bears killing each other. I always give the bears a hard time. I'm looking at all these different shows that people have a dedication to and seem really excited about. And again, it's not that I haven't gotten feedback about people being excited about the Psalter, but I myself was starting to feel, okay, we have a little bit of taste of what this could look like with the first episode, right? Which was done on a no budget, okay? Essentially, my vision for this show has grown. It's grown into a story that I think that people are really gonna be surprised by in the direction that we went with it. And I don't say all that to say that the show isn't going to honor the original concept that it is. I'm not in this to betray the people who have invested into the show so far, because that's what subscribers to Loor are doing. They're choosing to invest themselves into different projects and actually support them, monetarily with their subscription. I have taken the direction and the vision of the show in such a different way that is actually going to probably honor the people who invested their time in it even more. And my goal and what I've developed, I want to surprise people in that I want to give them something that they're not necessarily expecting. It is still an anthology series. Each episode is going to be based on a chapter of the Psalms, but I have created a story that is going to have connections throughout the season. One is, of course, artists in music and singing, because what better than to connect that to the scriptures of the Psalms? And really, I'm actually trying to tell a story overall that should connect pretty deeply with the Loor story and with the Loor audience. It's about artists separating themselves for the Lord and not falling into the call of the current culture around us. It's about trying to build our own culture as Christians. It's about leaning on the culture of Christianity in the past and the great things about it. All in all, to sum it up, it's about leaning on the culture that the Bible creates instead of the culture that we can see that's, fleeting and temporary around us. And it's going to deal with artists having to face an adversary in what you could see was the picture of the thumbnail, a legendary figure called a Siren, which is a mythological figure that would lure sailors to their death through its singing. Now, some of you are almost guaranteed to be thinking, what does this log line have to do with the book of Psalms? If all this is starting to sound crazy, this is why. I am looking at Loor, I'm looking at the environment, I'm looking at the possibilities with it, I'm looking at the story of Loor and Christian filmmakers in the future, and I am trying to be as creative as I possibly can with this project. Not just creativity for creativity's sake, but how can I challenge myself in being as creative as possible with this, while also maybe trying to make something that is timeless. And I'm really not trying to say that I think that the Psalter is going to be this project that people talk about like 500 years from now. That's not what I'm saying. But how can we as Christian filmmakers in this generation and in this time period be telling stories that move toward timelessness in film and ensure Christian storytelling that's timeless in film? And that's why I wanted to just really challenge myself and push myself more creatively with the Psalter. So all of this being said, my update is that I have completely repivoted the Psalter right now. And essentially, production-wise, I'm in the process of completing and revising the screenplays for the show. I'm adding an episode. I have a plan to shoot everything at once. Now, budget-wise, I'm not gonna wait for the entire show to fund to do that. Like like The Chosen does this, right? Like they wait for the entire season to get funded before they go into production on the thing. I have a set budget of what it's going to take for me to complete an entire season of something entirely. I want to push for a cinematic experience for the Loor audience. I want to push for something that you guys get excited to see the entire thing, not one episode at a time. The Loor guys and the Loor platform, they're really pushing for stepping outside of the box. And I don't want the Psalter to be the only project on Loor that feels like it's inside of the box. I want it to feel like something that really challenges consumers and other artists storytelling wise. I feel like the Psalms are so versatile that they invite that, and that this idea, this combination with the Psalms, with this anthology storytelling, is inviting that in the creative process. My goal is to push for production by summertime, and Lord willing, my goal is to do that, whether this second episode, this third episode has funded or not. So all that being said, if you could spare some loot for the Psalter, especially in its blitz mode, I would be very grateful. Also, if you haven't subscribed to Loor and you want to support indie Christian filmmaking, and you want to support out-of-the-box storytelling right now, or future out-of-the-box storytelling with Christian filmmakers, please come and subscribe to Loor and put your loot toward these different projects. So if you've made it through this entire video, thank you so much for watching. You can also, if you want to keep up with any of our other projects that we're doing at Hallford Entertainment, you can subscribe to our YouTube or any of our social channels. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys later, and keep looking out for the Psalter.